Have you ever felt that there's more to you than what others see? More than your name, job title, or even your personality? A deeper, hidden self that whispers from beneath your everyday thoughts? Maybe it surfaces in dreams, in moments of crisis, or when you're alone in nature. It can feel like a calling, a pull to become someone you've always been, yet never fully known. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, believed that this hidden presence within us, this deeper, truer self, is not a fantasy, but a psychological reality. And the journey to discover it is not just healing, it's transformative. He called this process individuation, a path toward wholeness, integration, and self-realization. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you truly are. But what does that mean? Why is the self hidden? And how do we begin the journey inward toward our own psychic center? In this video, we're diving deep into Jungian psychology to explore the idea of individuation and the lifelong path to the self. Welcome to the unfolding journey, where we explore ideas that shape not just how we think, but how we live. Here, we don't just talk about philosophy, psychology, and spirituality as academic topics. We explore them as living frameworks for becoming more conscious, more grounded, and more alive. If you're someone who questions, reflects, and seeks truth beneath the surface, then you're right where you belong. Let's explore the path of individuation together. The self and the psyche, Jung's inner architecture. To understand individuation, we first need to understand how Jung viewed the psyche. For Jung, the psyche is not just a collection of thoughts and behaviors. It's a living, dynamic system with many layers. At its core is the self, which represents the totality of the personality. It's the center of the psyche, not just the conscious ego, but also the unconscious aspects of who we are. Think of the self as the blueprint of your wholeness, who you were meant to become. Around this self, we find the ego, the part of us that we're most familiar with. It's our sense of I, the conscious mind that navigates daily life. But Jung said the ego is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies the personal unconscious, a realm filled with forgotten memories, repressed feelings, and unintegrated parts of the self. And deeper still is the collective unconscious, a vast reservoir of inherited archetypes and symbols that shape our inner world in ways we rarely notice. Individuation, then, is the process of navigating this vast inner terrain, integrating its many parts and aligning with the self at the center. What is individuation? Jung defined individuation as the process by which a person becomes a psychological individual, a unified and whole being. But this isn't about becoming isolated or egocentric. It's about becoming yourself in the fullest sense, not just the mask you wear for society, not just the roles you play, but the totality of who you are, conscious and unconscious, light and shadow, finite and infinite. Individuation is not self-improvement in the modern sense. It's not about optimization or perfection. It's about integration, bringing together all the disparate parts of yourself, including those you'd rather avoid or deny. This process isn't easy. In fact, it often begins with a breakdown, a loss of direction, or a personal crisis, what Jung called the night sea journey, or the dark night of the soul. But it's in these moments, when the old identity no longer fits, that the journey toward the self begins. The persona and the mask we wear. One of the first barriers to individuation is the persona, the social mask we wear to function in society. Your persona is how you present yourself to the world. It's shaped by culture, upbringing, expectations, and roles. There's nothing inherently wrong with the persona. It helps us navigate life. But problems arise when we identify too closely with this mask and mistake it for our true self. For example, someone might be seen as a successful professional, a helpful friend, a responsible parent. But deep down, they may feel empty, fragmented, or disconnected from something more authentic. Individuation requires peeling back the mask, not to discard it, but to stop being it. It means realizing that while the persona may be necessary, it is not the whole story. Meeting the shadow. Perhaps the most difficult and powerful part of individuation is confronting the shadow. The shadow contains all the parts of ourselves we've rejected, denied, or disowned. It includes impulses we deem unacceptable, traits we've repressed, and truths we're afraid to face. It's easy to project our shadow onto others, blaming them for what we refuse to see in ourselves. But Jung believed that until we face our shadow, it will control us from the unconscious. Individuation means turning inward and acknowledging these dark aspects, not to be overwhelmed by them, but to integrate them. Shadow work requires radical honesty, compassion, and the willingness to embrace inner contradictions. As Jung famously said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Archetypes and symbols, the language of the unconscious. As we journey deeper into the psyche, we encounter archetypes, universal symbols and patterns that live in the collective unconscious. These archetypes show up in myths, dreams, fairy tales, and religious imagery across cultures. The hero, the mother, the trickster, the wise old man, all are examples of archetypes. During individuation, these symbols often appear in dreams or synchronicities, guiding us toward growth and insight. The self, too, is an archetype, often symbolized by mandalas, divine figures, or sacred circles. When such images appear in the unconscious, they signal movement toward inner unity. Jung believed that dreams are a primary vehicle for individuation. By paying attention to them and engaging in active imagination, we begin to speak the symbolic language of the soul. Anima and animus, embracing the inner other. In addition to the shadow, Jung emphasized the importance of integrating the anima and animus, the unconscious feminine side of a man and the unconscious masculine side of a woman. These inner figures are shaped by personal experience and cultural conditioning. They often appear in dreams or fantasies, representing our relationship to emotion, intuition, logic, and will. Individuation requires engaging with these inner others to become more whole. A man, for instance, might suppress his vulnerability or emotional depth, while a woman might suppress her assertiveness or rational thought. By integrating anima and animus, we expand our range of being. It's not about becoming androgynous. It's about reclaiming lost parts of ourselves, regardless of gender identity. The role of crisis and transformation. Jung often spoke of individuation as a wounding and healing process. It's not a straight line, but a spiral, one that often includes disorientation, pain, and ego death. Many begin the individuation journey not from inspiration, but from crisis, a divorce, illness, midlife turmoil, or existential despair. Jung called this the midlife transition, where old goals no longer satisfy, and the soul demands something deeper. Rather than escaping or medicating the pain, Jung urged us to listen to it, to let it lead us inward. The descent into the unconscious is not a fall from grace, but a sacred journey, a necessary passage on the way to wholeness. Wholeness, not perfection. A common misunderstanding about individuation is that it leads to perfection. But Jung emphasized something else entirely: wholeness. Wholeness means embracing your contradictions, your limits, your wounds, and recognizing that all of them belong. To be whole is to be authentic. It's to stop pretending to be flawless and start living in alignment with your inner truth. Individuation doesn't make you better than others. It makes you more yourself. And in that becoming, you contribute to the world not through imitation, but through presence. Individuation in society. While individuation is a personal journey, it has deep social implications. A society of individuals who know themselves is a society less prone to scapegoating, conformity, and projection. When we do our own shadow work, we reduce the need to dump our fears onto others. In a world obsessed with external success, individuation is a quiet rebellion. It says, go within, find your truth, live from your center. And in doing so, you help the collective heal, not by preaching, but by embodying. The lifelong journey. Individuation is not something you complete by a certain age or check off a list. It's a lifelong unfolding. There are phases and seasons, times of outward exploration and times of inward reflection. Sometimes progress feels like loss. Other times, breakthroughs emerge from the darkest nights. But always, the journey leads toward greater awareness, greater authenticity, and greater alignment with the self. As Jung put it, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So, where are you on your journey to the self? Have you heard the voice within that says, there is more to you than this? Have you begun peeling back the mask, confronting your shadow, listening to your dreams? Individuation is not easy, but it is sacred, and it begins with a choice, the choice to turn inward and walk the path of self-discovery. If you're drawn to that path, if these ideas resonate deep in your being, then you're not alone. Subscribe to The Unfolding Journey for more videos that explore the inner life, from Jung to mythology, from ancient wisdom to modern depth psychology. Let's unfold the journey together.